Welcome back to the Patient Magnet podcast. My name is Jared Rohr. I'm the owner of Aesthetic Conversion, a web and SEO and Google ad agency specifically for the field of medical aesthetics. And I'm joined today by my good friend, Marco Valle, who owns Aesthetic Sales Hero. I've known Marco for years. I saw Marco speak at a conference probably 2 years ago. It was Mary Beth Hagan's conference, Learners and Legacies. And he absolutely captivated me. I don't think I've ever seen anybody more electric on stage in my life. And so I knew from that moment on, I was like, I have to be friends with this guy. He's just got so much going for him. He's so knowledgeable. And his entire ecosystem, Aesthetic Sales Hero, focuses on how to get those leads that you're working so hard to get into your business and how to convert them into actual sales in your clinic. So Marco, if you could introduce yourself and then just tell us a little bit, give us a little elevator pitch on Aesthetic Sales Hero.
Thanks so much, Jared. Well, I feel the same way about you, brother. You're absolutely so electric and captivating and authentic, all qualities of which are so valuable in this space. My background, I've been in the medical aesthetic space 15 plus years now. Started with Allergan, was there for a few years, had an amazing experience there. Got recruited into the tech space for a couple of years on the marketing side, where I'm so grateful for that experience in tech. Working for a startup where I learned a lot of really best principles and practices, especially around cloud-based systems and enterprise software as a service. And then I was recruited by Galderma, where I was for 5 years, got to be the US sales training manager for the aesthetic business unit, where I had the pleasure and privilege of traveling all around the country, working with accounts, large and small, all different kind of specialties, and also served on the brand advisory boards for Sculptra, the Restylane portfolio, and also Dysport. My little claim to fame is if you've ever heard Dysport described with the NFL message, natural looking, fast acting, long lasting. I wrote that.
Very good. Very
great
good.
Product. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate
snappy.
that.
That's very snappy.
Appreciate that. That's also true of all the toxins, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the right provider, you're going to get natural looking, fast acting, long lasting results. And then I got recruited after 5 years at Galderma to go to the provider side of the table. So I've been a sales director at a couple of different multi-state, multi-location med spa chains. And then I started Aesthetic Sales Hero to really scale my heartbeat and really make my mission become a reality, which is to bring wildly effective, refreshingly ethical sales training to everybody. And, you know, I think everyone deserves that. Everyone needs that. Our patients are deserving of that. And the results, you know, in a career spanning 15 years has been over $9 million in revenue and counting.
Wow.
That's awesome. $90 million. I don't know if I said that right.
Oh, sorry.
90 million.
I didn't mean 90. I'm so sorry.
90. Yeah. $90 million in revenue and counting with the practices that I've served both directly and indirectly.
Wow. That's awesome. Now tell us a little bit about Aesthetic Sales Hero, about this system.
So Aesthetic Sales Hero solves the problem around how do I deliver immediate and lasting sales confidence for myself and for my team. I like to point out that the idea of anyone starting a med spa, big or small, or any aesthetic practice for that matter, without an EMR would be absurd. Yeah. No one would ever think of doing that, right? Let alone a CRM or a POS or any other three-letter acronyms that we can think of, right? We know we need a systematic, operationalized approach to growing any successful business in 2025 and beyond. Certainly if you want to scale, and most definitely if you want to get like the maximum valuation or exit possible, right? But we don't have or let me ask a question instead of making an assumption. Where's the sales training system? I'll wait.
Nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen.
It's nowhere to be seen. Mm-hmm. Right? So, which is really crazy when you think about it. It's not to say that we don't have access to really good sales training or really good sales coaches. They're out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some of them are my friends, right? And I love to play well in the sandbox with everybody. But from a systematic perspective, there's no operating system when it comes to sales training, sales coaching. Yeah. From onboarding to ongoing talent development. So it's not scalable, it's not sustainable. So the current state of sales training and coaching looks like, number one, we depend on the reps. which has good value, but it's very limited. The rep's job is to teach you how to sell their particular product or device or portfolio, right? They certainly are not responsible for teaching you soft skills. They're not teaching you, right, that they may not even have that training themselves, but their scope is not.
Yeah, they'll want to teach the clinics to sell better and to market better because they're like, it's in their best interest for the clinic to succeed.
Yes.
But not because they're necessarily. That's why so many reps turn into consultants, because they practically are consultants for so long. They're like, you know what? I should just be doing this as a consultant. It's like, yeah, honestly, you've become this jack of all trades. A lot of these reps have become this jack of all trades.
That is so true. Every successful rep has to wear these multiple hats, including being this unpaid consultant and coach for their practices if they want to succeed. But the big challenge there is even the best reps, and I know I've lived that role out and I've trained like literally hundreds of reps to do that. Here's the problem. There's no system behind it.
No.
So, right, even the greatest rep comes in, gives everyone the razzle dazzle. They're inspired. They're blown away. This is amazing. They're taking down notes. And then what?
Yeah.
Right. So inevitably, the best rep, sales coach, consultant, trainer, etc., they're always going to run up against a frustration that, okay, this is not sticky. I can give you the best scripts, the best processes, the best ways of doing things. But if I can't make it sticky, what are we really doing?
Yeah.
Right. And when I say sticky, I mean, it's got to go beyond simply, well, here are some videos you can reference. Here's a book. Here's a binder. Here are my slide decks. It's not sticky enough. It's got to be a system that people can return to, they can reference. It's constantly being updated. They can enculturate it in their practice and in a way that's scalable and appropriate to every role.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're doing God's work in this industry, because I know we need it. Because I always say, as a practice owner, as a business owner in general, you got to get an A+ in 3 classes. You got to get an A+ in marketing, getting attention to your business. You got to get an A+ in sales, which is turning that attention into revenue. And you got to get an A+ in product delivery to make sure that you fulfill on the promises you just made in step 1 and 2. And, there's no shortage of marketing companies. I believe our conference is the only marketing specific conference, Aestheticon, which we haven't even announced where, I'd like to do it again this year. Anyway. But I think it's our only marketing specific. And then I think yours is one of the only like sales specific training education systems. And the clinic owners are not short on availability of training for how to do the service well. And typically that's the most qualified portion of the industry, is people really know how to treat. Hopefully they know how to treat the patient. And I would say the majority of injectors know how to inject well. I think there's probably an epidemic as well of scary unqualified injectors, but we don't have to get we don't have to get on that soapbox today. Now with Aesthetic Sales Hero, what is like, or maybe not even with Aesthetic Sales Hero, but in general, what are you seeing is like that most common gap that clinic owners have in their sales process, where you're like, oh my gosh, this gap, if they learn how to solve it, is a absolute game changer for most clinics? What's that primary skill set in the sales process that most clinics are writing off?
The majority of aesthetic providers and staff, from the front desk, all the way to the provider owner, if they are struggling with sales, it typically is for the ironic reason that they really care about their patients. Mm-hmm. They care so much about them that they don't want to be pushy. They don't want to be manipulative. They don't want to be salesy, right? And what we have defaulted to then as a solution to that, when it's like, well, okay, we get that, but you've got to grow your sales. We need the revenue. We need the income. Is we say, okay, well then don't sell the patient. Like, stop me if you've heard this before, right? Don't sell, educate.
Right.
I used to say that. I said that for years.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that. When we talk about educating the patient, what that typically looks like is info dumping or gatekeeping, mm-hmm. where we will make financial decisions on behalf of the patient, or being very transactional, where they mm-hmm. came in asking for some specific thing, and then we give it to them, and then that's it. We don't have like an integrated, holistic, comprehensive conversation about their long-term plans, ongoing maintenance, additional health and wellness and aesthetic, questions and concerns that the patient maybe not even be aware of, right?
Yeah.
So educating the patient, quote unquote, has become this big pass for everyone. And what that has made us then is passive, where patient empowerment, the way I've practiced it, coached it, lived it out, and what's built into the aesthetic sales hero approach, where empowerment differs from education. So number one, we're not going to ask you to shift your moral compass. We're going to celebrate that. I'm going to celebrate and honor the fact that you don't want to be salesy. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If by salesy, you mean being manipulative and icky.
Exactly.
Right. Because there's a side conversation here to have around sales is not a bad word. We're all selling all the time.
No.
Right.
But because most people are not afraid of sales, they're afraid of manipulation, which is perfectly valid. If you're, because then you're like, oh, describe sales. They're like, oh, well, it's where you're convincing somebody that they need something and you're showing them problems they don't really have to get them whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's crap. Of course. But that's not sales. That's manipulation, and that's taking advantage of people. And you should absolutely be afraid of and ashamed if that's what you're doing. I agree. But we're also miscategorizing it. It is sales. You are doing sales. It's just you're not doing that, which is manipulation and taking advantage of people. I totally agree. Sorry, continue.
Right? So we're going to reframe sales and we're going to skip education. Now, let me again make it very clear for the audience that, of course, we're going to educate the patients. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, we will educate the patients, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to take it to the next very important, essential last step, which is empowering the patient. And one of our core slogans is, the more you obsess about patient empowerment, the more the selling will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Right? Because what does that look like, practically speaking? Let's take this empowerment idea, make it very tangible. If you're obsessed with empowering the patient, then of course you're going to proactively rebook them.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
Right? It's rather disempowering of you. If you know that I had a pleasant experience with you, I'm happy with my outcome, for you to be like, okay, Jared, see you later.
Yeah.
What, do you not want me to come back? Don't you want to take something off of my very busy plate? And don't you want to ensure that in 3 months or 6 months, when you should want to see me back, that I can get in?
Yeah. And that, I think that's such an excellent point, is that when you are not giving somebody a full face recommendation of what they need, when they've expressed, I need to solve this, and this, and then they say, oh, well, we could just do this today. And it's like, no, like, you are not serving them well. You're not helping the patient the best. You're trying to help their wallet without them ever saying that they need help with their wallet. Like, maybe there are some patients that are like, oh, well, that's expensive. It's like, great. Then we can deal with that. But not till they say that does that need to be a problem in your head. And the same deal with rebooking. They don't want to feel pushy. They don't want to feel like they're forcing somebody to spend more money with them. And it's like, no, you promised them that they're going to get to look like this. And in order to maintain that, they got to come in every 4 months, 3 months for talks. They got to come in every 6 months for filler. They got to come. You got to get them on the routines that you need them on to get them the face that you promised.
Yes. And when you focus on, am I obsessing about empowering my patients? Is that really top of mind? Is that really the primary goal every time they're on the phone in front of standing at the front desk in front of me in a consult? If that's your north, your true north on the compass, you're never going to go wrong, because then all the goals are aligned with your own values, right? You're here to serve, you're here to help, right? And yes, to earn an income and make your own dreams a reality. Absolutely. Yeah. But your focus stays right where it should be, which is, I'm here to help you, Jared, make the best aesthetic and wellness decisions for yourself, right? So here are the recommendations that I would make holistically, comprehensively, with regard to the short as well as long term, et cetera. To your point, cost should not be an issue until the patient makes it an issue.
Right. Correct. Right? Exactly. Unless they've got a problem with it, you shouldn't have a problem with it.
So one of the illustrations that we talk about in our intro chapter is If you're in an acute setting, let's say you're a doctor in an acute hospital, and I'm your patient, and you, to the best of your diagnostic knowledge, you know that you need to recommend what's going to be $150,000 worth of
Yeah.
medications,
Yeah.
labs, tests, etc. You're not going to hesitate for a moment
Right.
to let me know what your best recommendation is,
Right.
and cost doesn't ever come into the equation. You're going to
Oh,
leave it to me and my insurer to figure all that out. But when we're in the aesthetic and wellness setting, suddenly now we're everybody's mom and financial planner.
right. Right. And we insist on, oh yeah, this whole entire treatment plan is $7,000. And it's like, I know that's a lot. And it's like, you don't have to address that until they think it's a lot. Like this person could be
Yes.
ultra high net worth individual that's like, no, actually somebody else quoted me 15 grand last week for it. So I'd love to get that from you, whatever it is. Like you don't have to, don't put yourself in their wallet. What's
Yes.
happening is typically the individual is projecting their own income into this person's life, and I'm super guilty of that, especially when I was first starting my company. I was not making much. And so when I would like try to bill for certain things, and then I would be like, oh, well, it's going to be this much for a website. And they're like, oh, awesome. And I'm like, oh, what? Wait a second. Like, my very first like big gig as a company, this is back when we were called Really Good Content. Um, I was just shooting video on the side while I was working for Shino, and I would charge $500 per video if you filmed a handful of videos with me. And I was filming like really nice kinetic typography videos on a nice it was like really great quality. And I was like, $500 makes it all worth it for me with the edits and the shooting and all that stuff, which was fairly affordable for most business owners. Now that I'm looking back and I'm like, yeah, I probably should have billed more. This one lady said she wanted me to shoot like 20 something, 15 something videos for her. It was something fairly large. And I was like, well, that's going to be like 7 grand, 8 grand, 10 grand. And she goes, oh my gosh, that'd be great. The last guy quoted me 25,000 for that whole series. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I went home. I was like, babe, we need an LLC. And I was all fired up, but I was like so scared of what she was going to say of $10,000 purchase, because I'd never bought anything that expensive. And so I love the idea. This is just me putting together your philosophy. I love the idea of you've got sales, you've got sales, and that there are 2 routes you can take from sales. You can either go the positive route, which is empowerment, because ultimately what sales is showing the value of something, and then offering somebody the opportunity to transact that thing. Like that's the net neutral version, right? But the
Sure.
positive version is you're empowering them and showing them everything that they've expressed that they want, as well as, hey, this is the outcome I want. Okay, great. These are the things you're gonna have to do. The manipulative side of it is convincing somebody they have a problem that they don't actually have, in order for you to sell another syringe, which obviously most people don't want to be that used car salesman. But this side is the coach, the guide, the offshoot of empowerment is that, exactly that, the guide and the advocate for the patient. I think that's so sharp. I love
Yes.
that philosophy. I think that's so powerful, and
Thank you, brother.
not enough clinics have. I agree, because anytime I've ever gotten on a soapbox about sales, I say that where the manipulation versus sales, but ultimately that's an empowerment mindset. I think that is very useful.
I will tell you, I want to be careful not to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I've never heard anyone else speak this way.
No, me neither.
Um, and yet it is incredibly effective. It's
Yeah.
amazingly, as we call it, it's wildly effective
Yeah.
because it's so refreshingly ethical, because we're able to help the provider or any person in any role in the aesthetic practice align with the
Yeah.
best version of themselves, right? How much freer are you to make a recommendation
Yeah.
when you know you would be recommending this to your mom, sister, wife, and price was not a concern,
Right.
right? You're going to recommend the best personalized treatment plan, short term, long term, multimodality, holistic, et cetera, et cetera. And they're like, oh, well, here's my budget.
Mm-hmm.
Or, right? Then you're like, okay, great. Now let's talk about Do we want to have a phased approach? What priorities do we want to have? What do we want to start with, et cetera? And by the way, let's remember too that we can never go wrong by caring too much, but we have to care about the right things. What's ironic is when we're doing something like gatekeeping, when it comes to price, like, ooh, I'm not going to really share my full recommendation to Jared because I don't know if he's going to freak out about this price, or, I'm already like downgrading the ideal treatment plan because, I think it's going to be too expensive. I would say that then you don't care enough about that patient. You don't care enough about them to let them know what you think the best actual solutions are for them. Let them make that decision, help them make the best one. And you don't even know typically at which point when price does come up, what is it about price they're even asking about? Are they just curious? Yeah. But yet a lot of providers like, oh my gosh, they're asking about price. I don't know what to do. I'm getting verklempt, right?
Yeah, they assign intention to that question.
They assign intention. Yes,
yeah, they're assigning
that's a
intention
perfect phrase. They assign intention. So they're just asking about the price. They don't know what else. They don't know where else to start. Yeah. Number two, maybe they're asking, is it worth it? Maybe they're asking about the price because they're like, this is a really significant investment. Is it worth it? Because if it's going to do what you're telling me it's going to do, then yeah, let's pull the trigger. You don't know that, right? Yeah. Or are they asking, can I afford this right now? I've got something coming up, or let me do a phased approach, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or do I need to inquire about pricing, like Cherry or payment plans or something? Yeah,
exactly.
I totally agree.
Exactly. So then just keep focusing on empowering them more and more, and you're going to win. The selling will take care of itself. And I want to clarify too, that empowerment could look like a 30-second phone call from an inquiry that just called in, right? Because the practice is an aesthetic conversion client. You guys are bringing in all these amazing, hot, qualified leads.
That's right.
Right? Boom. Empowerment doesn't have to look like this. Oh, what's Marco talking about? It's like a 45-minute, hour-and-a-half consultation, whatever, like shoot me now. No. Yeah. You can absolutely empower a patient in 30 seconds or less.
That's awesome. So now that we've talked about the mindset of where you need to be when you are in a sales-facing role, let's take the front desk, for example, most people have a front desk. Some people have a call center, but let's just call it the front desk for now, who is picking up the phone calls and setting the appointments. What are taking that mindset? Cause I think this is so rad. What are some ways that they can practically take that mindset and make the max out of those inbound leads, whether it is an inbound lead that's doing a cold call to the clinic, or it's a warm lead they just got from the website, that says, hey, can somebody call me about learning more about talks or something like that? What are some of the best practices that you've seen for phone calls out with an empowerment mindset?
First and foremost starts with, we are absolutely committed to empowering our patients to make the best decisions on their own behalf, right, based on our expert recommendations. Then second first principle is we have to create systems. We have to operationalize what we're doing. To the same point of you cannot run a modern day practice without an EMR. It's an insane idea, right? And so we need to understand that it's the same approach when it comes to our sales system. So, number one, I've got the right mindset. I got my head on right, Jared. I'm at the front desk. Now what do I do? What system do we have in place? So first and foremost, do we have a process flow, workflow, checklist, call it what you will, that we are standardizing, that everyone can operate from and personalize?
Got it.
I cannot stress how important this is. If you don't have a standardized approach to scripts and how calls are answered, how check-in is done, how checkout is done, then you're already way behind the eight ball.
Got it.
And the purpose of this standardized systematic approach is not to turn everyone into a bunch of robots and unthinking automatons.
Yeah.
It's to get everyone on the same page. This keeps the owner.
Yeah.
Right.
This is how we communicate this. So you've got you basically for for them to do that for themselves internally, if they're going to try to standardize what it looks like to communicate outbound, whether that is receiving a phone call, hey, here's the general script that should be happening on these phone calls. If it is a checkout process, here's the general script. And I liked what you said about leaving room for personalization, because you obviously don't want them to say, thank you so much for coming to XYZ Med Spa. It has been a wonderful time. It has been an amazing time serving you today. And then the boss is cracking down like, did you say wonderful again and not amazing? And it's like, we only say amazing in this clinic, and it's like, okay, relax. Like amazing resonates, wonderful resonates with that person. So what you're kind of saying is like, have a general, like, here's how we communicate at the checkout. Here's how we communicate once an appointment is finished. Here's how we communicate when somebody is calling. Here's how we communicate when you're outbound. Here's how we always answer the phones. Thank you for calling XYZ Med Spa, home of the, only med spa that also serves hot dogs. How can I help you today? Whatever it is. We have some sort of a phrase that we always say, or whatever.
You went exactly where I was going. Exactly where I was going, which is, what is your position in the marketplace?
Oh yeah.
Right.
How do we?
What is
the USP?
Yeah, we're the home of the. You just literally said, right? We're the home of the free hot dogs.
Free hot dogs. Yeah, that's right. Or there's a great example of this. Bevel Up in Tampa, Florida. I will preach Rochelle Doyle till the day I die. Her clinic in Tampa is called Bevel Up, and their phrase is that we are the place for the face. And their whole entire business philosophy is we do everything related to your face, and maybe maybe neck or whatever, but it's like nothing shoulders down. But they'll pick up the phones. Thank you for calling Bevel Up, the place for the face. How can I help you?
I love that
killer.
So much. So
killer.
We produce so much coaching and training content that sometimes my head like swims, but I want to say that one of our literal examples in our section is literally saying the place for your face. I swear my team will.
Could be. I don't know if she owns a trademark on it. She might.
No.
I don't think she does. But it could be inspired from Bevel Up. Or who knows? Maybe Rochelle saw it from a lecture that you did at some point. Who knows?
No. I'm sure. Yeah. No. I mean, it's a very logical phrase, right?
It's cute. Yes, of course.
1,000%. So that captures, I think, something very important and tangible that your viewers can walk away with, which was, okay, Marco, where do we start? Like, you've gotten us inspired, maybe a little frustrated, a little scared, a bit excited. What's like a really tangible place that we can start when you're talking about, okay, we got the right mindset. What systems do we put in place? That's where I would start right there. You want to own your positioning statement and in the marketplace. And what we mean by positioning is, what is the position that you want your prospects and patients to place you in vis-a-vis your competitors and all the other alternatives out there? And how well do you own that? Another way to think about it is, when someone describes your place to their friend, how do they describe it? What words do they use? As much as possible, you want to drive that message. Right. You want them to say, oh my gosh, you haven't been there? That's the place for your face.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Let me tell you what that means, right? And so the place for your face as a slogan or a unique value proposition, shall we say, think of it as it needs to have the support of points of difference. Think of it as like, if you think about like the Parthenon, you've got that like beautiful marble stone roof, and then you've got those gorgeous columns, right, holding it up, like that classic look, or the Supreme Court, right? So your points of difference are those columns holding up what your unique value proposition is. And so if you are making a claim, you want to have at least 2 to 3. I would have certainly no more than 6, but even like those last 3, I'd probably have in my back pocket just in case it came up. But you want to have these points that will help you uniquely differentiate yourself from all of the other options and alternatives as much as possible. Right. So, as an example, I'm just making this up. I don't know Bevel. I love that name, by the way. Bevel Up, right? Bevel Up. I love it.
Bevel Up.
Yeah, Bevel Up. So, if your position is the place for your face, you notice how you immediately backed up what you were saying. You clarified with me what you were saying.
Right.
You said, oh, they only focus, right? You said that.
Right. They only focus on the face. Mm-hmm.
Now, if that isn't the evidence of strong positioning, I don't know what is. You don't work for them.
Right. No.
Yet you are describing.
But I'm an advocate for their message. Yeah, exactly. And they've empowered me to know how to advocate for them. They've empowered, with that unique positioning, they've empowered me to be able to tell all my friends. If one of my friends says, oh my gosh, I have this under eye thing, it's like, well, Bevel Up is the place for the face. If you want to go somewhere in town, you got to go. Like they handle that in the face. If somebody says like, oh, does your injector, will they help me do like a butt augmentation? It's like, well, Bevel Up won't, likely. Maybe you can call them, but they mostly just focus on the face. If you've got something you want to fix for your face, Bevel Up is that spot. So like there's like a lot of it teaches people how to sell for you. It teaches people how to advocate for you in the marketplace. I think it's awesome.
You're pointing to a very key point around, well, how should we position, how should we phrase our points of difference, etc. And I say it's got to be easy to remember, easy to repeat, and relevant. And that's an important thing to know, because when you're thinking about, okay, we might describe ourselves in such and such a manner, but it doesn't lend itself to an elevator pitch because it's just too much information. Well, you got to cut that down, right? Maybe there's only one key point of difference that really matters. Own that, and phrase it in a way that's memorable, easy to repeat, and is totally relevant. And I think the relevant part is important too, because especially when it comes to points of difference, well, what makes us unique and, valuable and worth it? Well, our people, I hear that all the time. I just heard that this week with a client. Well, our people are very special. They're very highly trained. And it's like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't claim that?
Right.
Everyone would say that.
Yeah. We are very
so
safe,
is there something,
and we're qualified, and we're this, and it's like, that shouldn't be a point of differentiation. Like that should be standard across the board, is that we're using the best products and that we are all qualified to be doing the job.
Exactly. Now, if you can make that better differentiated, and say, as an example, we're a board, our owner is a board certified dermatologist, or our owner is a trainer with Galderma, or right now it's like, okay, that's interesting. Are there other trainers with Galderma? Yes. Okay, well then maybe so keep drilling down, right? So that it's valuable to the patient. Because again, the reason why this is so important is because now you're competing based on your worth and your value, not on your price. Number one. Number two, you are setting the stage for whatever the conversation or communication is with that patient, where you are the humbly confident expert, they're not.
Right.
You're the expert operating in humble confidence, not arrogance, and you're not a doormat, but they're not. They called you for a reason, and you want to let them know they came to the right place. So when let's make it now, let's land the plane on everything that we've been talking about here. I'm a busy person at the front desk of this, successful med spa. Ring, ring. I get a call. Hi, welcome to my med spa. This is Marco speaking. Hi, what's your price per unit on Botox?
Right. That was my next question. Is how do we? I was going to ask your opinion on leveraging this mindset towards standard questions that are coming in. So people ask about price. What happens?
There's nothing set in stone. There's not like some sort of like magical way that the gods have like handed down to us from on high on here's how you answer a price question. Anyone that tells you differently is just making stuff up. Right. I would say, again, like how you communicate should be aligned with your brand, right? This is why you want to start with the right you build on the solid foundation, and you go from there. So we have a patient empowerment mindset. We're building systems. One of those systems is how we position ourselves, which is composed of a unique value proposition and points of difference. That then drives how we answer the phone. You see where I'm going with this?
Totally. Yeah.
It's methodical, it's systematic, it's scalable, but with the right heart and mind driving all of it. So I could answer that question with, well, thank you so much for calling. Our typical price per unit is $12.50.
$12, $12. Yeah, whatever.
And by the way, notice I said typical. So I want to get to that in a second. Our typical, since you're asking, our typical price per unit is $12.50. By the way, this is just one of a number of different ways we can handle this call.
Yeah.
However, and that's based on our exciting membership program as well as our Ally rewards. Tell me, have you
Mm-hmm.
had Botox before? Where are you thinking about getting it?
Yeah.
Everyone's, results are going to be personalized to them.
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer that call wrong because I gave the price right away up front?
Yeah. Right.
Right? In the same way, if I had said, ring, ring, thanks for calling my med spa. Hi, what's your price per unit on Botox? Thank you so much for calling my med spa. I would love to tell you the price, but everyone's results are going to be different. In fact, here we actually don't charge by the unit. We charge by the result. That's what we find is most meaningful, most valuable to our patients. Tell me,
Mm-hmm.
have you had Botox before? Where are you thinking about getting it? Oh, in
Right.
your lips? Well, I'm so glad you called me because let me
Right.
tell you.
We don't do Botox I mean, unless we're talking about a lip flip, but so that's kind of my philosophy as well, is you want to qualify the lead and not that, because I'm not a practice consultant by any means, but I see so many strategic benefits in selling for results rather than selling. We're not tox dealers. We're not filler dealers. Like, if they want to, we're not pharmacists. Like, we're not, people are like, oh, how much do you sell per unit? It's like, well, I don't sell per unit. I'm a practitioner that delivers a result. Like, you want to buy per unit, go wholesale it from the company. Oh, you can't, and you wouldn't know what to do with it regardless. It's like, of course, you don't go to a car company and say, hey, what do you bill per lug nut that's on the car? Like, no, we're giving you a car that you want. And the reason I think it's also strategic is that exact reason, is you can say, well, hey, we don't sell per unit here or per syringe. We sell per area. So what are you looking to get with tox? And the person says, oh, well, my lips, I want to fill them up. And it's like, well, okay, great. I'm very glad that you brought that up then, because Botox has become the eponym. And an eponym is like Kleenex. It's the word, it's the brand that has turned into the word Kleenex. Also, fun fact, trampoline, also an eponym. That's a brand, not an actual. I think it's literally called
Never knew that.
a jump mat or something is what it's supposed to be called, but everyone calls it a trampoline. That's branding, baby. So yeah, so then what you tell them, you say, actually, it's an eponym, and Botox is actually used to like hinder muscles, which is like really good for your forehead or for crow's feet or other areas you're seeing wrinkles. In your lips, you're gonna want filler, and we're probably gonna need to see your lips to know exactly how much filler you're gonna need. But generally, our pricing starts around $650 for lips or something like that. Like, then you've educated and you've let them know where they're starting at, their ballparking at least, so that you don't want the person coming in thinking they're going to spend $100 on lips. Like, it's probably still good, I think, to tell people price on the phone.
The very logical next step would be to now credential the practice or the provider.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now
We love doing
immediately,
lips. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we're going into the positioning, right?
Yeah.
Right to what we talked about. So I'm going to answer your question in a logical way around price, do some exploration there. Great. But as quickly and naturally as possible, I'm going to tell you why you're going to love coming here for your consult and your treatment. I'm so glad you actually called us today because, we're the face place. We're known as the face place in the area. Here's what that means to you, right? We are this, and this. All of our providers are national trainers or whatever. They've been trained by national trainers, whatever makes perfect sense for your particular practice. We solely focus on facial treatments. And number 3, we have a holistic approach to the face. So you're asking me about, something that would relax your wrinkles. Well, not only that, but, we take care of your skin quality and skin health, so on and so forth, right? So very quickly, in 10 seconds, I'm doing so much more than answering your question about price. I'm educating and empowering you on our value. Because to your earlier point, the stuff ain't going to inject itself.
Right.
What am I really paying for? Yeah.
Right. You're paying for
what
expertise.
I'm really paying for is for a great customer service experience, hopefully a long-term relationship, and a safe, natural-looking, beautiful outcome. Okay, so what is that worth to you? Now we're not talking about units anymore.
Yeah, we're talking about the outcome and the experience that you're purchasing, which most people will think that it's units, unfortunately. I also like credentialing to like what somebody says, oh, I want to deal with my wrinkles. And, on the phone, we're not saying, hey, look, like I'm 33 years old. We can deal with my wrinkles with Tox. If you're above 65, we're taking a CO2 laser to those suckers. Like Tox is not solving your wrinkles at 65 years old, at 70 years old, So like, then there's also the aspect of not like telling them like, oh yeah, it's going to be $500 when actually it's a series of laser treatments. If you're hoping to get rid of those things, it is not $500. Then you're just going to zap them away. It's going to probably be $3,000 for a fully ablative, or something like that. So we have other solutions. So I agree. Yeah. I think just quickly letting the client tell us what to do, quickly like having the client tell you what to do isn't going to work, because you're also not empowering them in that moment. You're kind of just appeasing and hoping that they're going to say yes.
Talk about credentialing. We're really using that as a synonym for positioning.
Yeah.
So whether positioning the practice, credentialing the practice, or the individual providers, it's really the same thing. And so as quickly as possible, whatever the question is, you want to credential, you want to differentiate, you want to show how valuable you are and why they made such a good decision. You want to affirm that you came to the right place. Here's why. Boom, boom, boom. 10 seconds.
Yeah. And it's like, do you want to buy? Do you want to buy a syringe of filler, or do you want to pay for somebody who can solve your problem with your lips? And it's like, oh, that's right. I don't want to just buy a syringe full of filler. Sorry. I want somebody who's actually qualified to solve my issue.
Exactly right.
It's so critical that so somebody calls, and the goal is we're going to establish a unique selling point in our positioning of who we are. We're going to credential ourselves as the clinic, so that when we're speaking with this patient, we can empower them to whatever it is, get their consultation on the books, or we can book them right then and there for whatever the treatment is. But the goal is letting them know as much as we can about about who we are and why we're qualified to solve that specific problem.
100%, brother.
Cool.
Let me give you another illustration of this that we can borrow from another industry that's also a multi-billion-dollar industry, food service and hospitality. Mm-hmm. Over the past, I don't know, let's say 5 to 10 years, there has been a particular question with some variations that we've all become pretty used to hearing whenever we walk into a restaurant. We sit down at the table, the server approaches us, the first question that typically comes out of their mouth after they greeted us, it's this: is this your first time here?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? There's some variation of that. Have you dined with us before? Is this your first dining experience with us? Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
It's ubiquitous. When we were kids, no one asked that. Now everyone asks that, from 5-star restaurants to like the local taco joint. Is this your first time here? Why do they ask that? Because it helps them, it enables them to set the stage for everything else that follows, right? If you tell me, yes, it's my first time here, then that gives me the perfect opportunity to do what? To credential the restaurant. To position it as to, well, it's your first time here at Jared's? Well, you are in for a treat. I don't know if you know this, but we are the only restaurant here in Orlando that serves lobster that's imported from Mars. What that means to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. Here's why that's important. Because that lobster, right, boom, 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 whatever it is, obviously I'm being ridiculous, but now you just set the stage.
So somebody calls, we credential the clinic, we tell them our unique selling point, we empower the patient with whatever the information is that gives them the best info. What about a call to action? Do we say, do we not put the pressure on, but how do we best encourage that person on the other end of the line to get onto our schedule? Do we just make it like, okay, great, when do you want me to schedule you? Or do we ask them, okay, great, are you looking to make a consultation appointment? What's the best way to get them from that phone call onto the schedule?
Number one goes back to the systematization, right? We need to have systems, processes, scripts in place, not to make everyone a bunch of robots, but to have a standard operating procedure, to like literally and figuratively get everyone on the same page about this is our approach. Great. Once we have that established, then it's up to that person with the right amount of training and practice to give the call to action that makes the most sense. There are literally an infinite number of calls to action. I think in our coursework, we have probably 100. I mean, it's a lot. Some key ones could look as simple as, well, when do you want to come in? I've got an availability today, right?
Yeah.
So there are an infinite number of ways to do it that are authentic and real. The key is give the call to action.
Right.
Don't just leave it as, well, thanks so much for calling. We'll always be
Thanks,
here.
Bye. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Do you have any more questions? Again, if you're obsessing about empowering them, you're going to treat every opportunity as an opportunity to meet and serve a new friend. Yeah. Well, then that means you're going to want to genuinely learn about them, understand them. Where are they coming from? You know, one of the things that we teach, for example, is the importance of quickly understanding what are their purchase drivers. We have, there are 5 key types of purchase drivers that are out there, and we have assigned them personality types, right? So there's the trendsetter, the trendy, the time crunch, the transitional, and the traditional. Now, all of them have different motivations, pressures, goals, habits, values that have led them to DM you or call you or to be standing before you and with your consult. All of that information is going to drive so much of what your conversation is going to look like, what your treatment recommendation could look like, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's rad. Well, I know that you're running tight on time, so I want to make sure that we, first of all, thank you for joining us on the podcast. It's been so insightful. I think your philosophy on sales is so refreshing. It's so cool to hear kind of this mindset shift that you're pushing and encouraging people to have. What's the best way for people to get in touch with Aesthetic Sales Hero? What's the best way for them to take the next step? Do you guys have lead magnets or anything like that? Or do they just send a contact email? How do they get in touch with you guys?
Thank you, brother. Well, I mean, Jared, it's been such a pleasure for me to have this conversation with you and to be a part of your own journey and just to celebrate with you the growth of aesthetic conversion and the amount of love and respect that there are for you out there on the conference and event circuit. Yeah, it's awesome, man. Thanks. And, you know, and you're just getting the party started too, right? I mean, 5 years from now,
buckle up.
I mean, holy cow. Yeah, it's going to be amazing just to see what you are building and on such a solid foundation of integrity and bringing value to your clients. So thank you, man, for the opportunity.
Thanks. Of course.
Yeah. Of course. So getting in touch with us is super easy. Our Instagram is Aesthetic Sales Hero, and so is our website, aestheticsaleshero.com, and they can go to the website and download a fantastic free guide on answering price questions and price objections, which I know is hot on everyone's mind, especially right now in the kind of the slow summer months.
Of course. Rad. Okay. So go to aestheticsaleshero.com and download the pricing guide, and that'll kind of get you guys started. And Aesthetic Sales Hero 2 is not an unbearably, it's not a $50,000 coaching program. They build their systems so that they can help and empower everybody. So definitely go check out their website, go check out their more information and documentation on what they're doing. And thank you all so much for listening to The Patient Magnet today. If you had any questions, if you disagreed violently on what we said, please throw it in a comment. I would love to fight you down there. Okay. If you're on Spotify or anywhere else, please make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you are liking the video and all of that stuff. It really helps with our stats so that we can see growth and we can get the message out to more people. So thank you again so much for listening. Thank you again, Marco, for coming, and we'll all talk soon.
Thanks, you, Jared.
Everybody.